Hey, what's up everyone? Zatelia here. Today I'm going to show you how to integrate SKG Shooter Framework to Advanced Jigsaw Inventory. So I already opened a fresh project. The first thing you want to do is make sure you go to your plugins and you need to install the SKG plugin. And whatever other plugins you want to install. And then go ahead and restart. And we're back. All right, so after you got your plugins installed, you want to integrate or you want to migrate the SKG Shooter Framework over. A couple different ways you can do that. I'm just gonna copy and paste it. I just find that easier. If you do it this way, go to the project, go to the content folder, copy the SKG Shooter Framework, and then go to wherever your project is, content, and paste it right in. All right, now that that's done, there's a couple things we want to do first. So the first thing we want to do is we want to set up the character. So find your character, open the blueprint. So there's a couple things that we need to do here. The first thing we need to do is add the SKG shooter, or the SKG, what is it called? Shooter pawn. All right, once you add the shooter pawn component, go to initialize. You want to make sure everything's set up correctly. One of the main things you want to check is the third person mesh, first person mesh. You want to make sure the name is the same as the mesh name in parentheses. So character mesh 0, character mesh 0. You don't have to have them both the same. I just do it just because it's easier. Next thing you want to do is under the camera component name, you want to make sure you copy the name of your camera component. I'm using the first person. First person camera. All right, the next thing we need to do is make sure it's attached to the socket. So Jigsaw doesn't, or attaches it straight to the head. So we're going to make a new socket for the camera. We're going to open up the skeleton mesh. Go find the head. Right click, add socket, and you can name it whatever you want to. Just make sure that it matches. All right, so we S underscore camera. Now we have to line it up about eye level, just in front of the head, in front of the mesh. All right, go back to character blueprint. Go to the camera and change the parent socket to the socket you just created. After you add it, I like to reset all the location. You don't need to reset the scale, but you can if you want to. All right, so we need to rotate it up and right. So go back to the skeleton, rotate it up, and rotate it right 90. Now we go back, it should be, yep, lined up. All right, so the next thing that we need to do, we need to create some virtual bones. Um, Basically, there's four you need to create. The first one is going to be the firearm collision virtual bone. I'm going to add a virtual bone from spine 1 to spine 1. We are going to call it firearm collision. All right, the next one we need to add is the IK handgun parent. This will be add a virtual bone to the head and add it to the head. It would be IK handgun parent. I'm gonna copy and paste it just because it's easier than doing it over and over again. All right, the next one we need to do is IK handgun ADS. That will be from the parent to the head. So right click on parent, add virtual bone, and then add that to the head. And this one, the IK handgun underscore ADS. And then the last but not least, we need to do IK handgun. That will be from the parent to IK handgun. And rename this just to IK handgun. And that is everything that we need to do on the skeleton for now. All right, so the next thing we need to do is we need to go and find the animation blueprint for Jigsaw and for SKG. The easiest way would just be go in here. All right, mannequin animations. Okay. Now we need to find the the SKG. And we also need to copy and paste the animation layer interface. And we're just going to do the armed. So right now there's an unarmed animation layer and an armed animation layer. We're just going to copy the armed for now. And we're going to put that in the animation folder for Jigsaw. All right, we're going to rename it so it's something we can find. Again, you can name it whatever you want to. I'm just making something simple. All right, so once you have them copied and renamed, you want to right click on the animation layer and you want to assign the jigsaw skeleton. All right, now we did that, we need to open the animation layer and we're gonna have a few errors, mostly all bones. So click on one of the errors and it'll bring you to the procedurals. So the reason you're getting these errors is the UE5 mannequin has 5 fine bones, where the UE4 mannequin only has 3. So starting at the neck, it's 1, basically down to the ass, which is 5. So anything that is 5, you want to change it to the lowest, which is 3. Up here, you got 3, 4, and 5. We're going to change it to 1, 2, and 3. And you can go through and adjust all the alphas to whatever you like. It's just how much they bend. All right, and then same thing with the lean left and right. 4 will become 2. 5 will become 3. And I believe that was all of them. Okay, no more errors. All right, so now we go back to the jigsaw animation blueprint. All right, so the first thing we need to do, I like to clean it up a little bit, comment it. That way I can see what was there originally, and adjust things from there. All right, so the first thing we need to go to class settings, and we need to add the interface that we just copied and renamed. I named it AJSI tutorial. Then you just add it. After you have it added, go ahead and drag it out from the animation layer. All right, so the jigsaw, I guess the idle position for handling a weapon. It is the animation character idle. We're gonna drag that out. This is gonna be our basically our base pose. Now it's gonna T-pose just because it's not all set up yet. All right, so the next thing we're gonna add is a layer blend per bone. And this is going to be our pose 0. The base pose, we're going to use the normal locomotion. So save normal loco. From here, connect that. Now it's gonna change because it's still not pulling in the idle animation yet. So the next thing we need to do is we need to change the layered blend per bone from a branch filter to a blend mask. Now you're gonna get an error because we don't have a blend mask set up yet. So let's go back to the skeleton. First thing we're going to do, go to the IK hand root. Or I take that back. First thing we're going to do is go to blend profiles. We're going to add a blend mask. Doesn't really matter what you name it. All right, now we're going to go to the IK hand root, and we're going to kick this up to 1. Then right click on it, and you're going to set recursive blend to 1. So everything that falls underneath there is now 1. The next thing we're going to do the same thing with spine 01. Set it to 1, set recursive to 1. Now you want to make sure you do this after you make your virtual bones, because as you can see, it automatically sets them to 1. If you don't do it in this order, you can still set them to 1. You just got to do it manually. All right. Now that those are set up, go back to the layer blend per bone and add the blend mask. All right, so now the legs are pulling from the locomotion, but the arms are still T-posed. All right, so there's a couple reasons why the arms are T-posed. We don't have the animation, the procedural set up yet. So one of the things you need to do is you go to the SKG animation blueprint example. You want to copy the copy bone, the 2 bone, and the 2 bone IK. One is for left hand, one is for right hand. Copy those and paste those in here. And then go ahead and connect them. Once you connect it, you need to make sure that everything's enabled. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to set up the animation layer. So if we go to the animation layer, you need to copy everything. So Control A, Control C. And then you want to go to class settings and you want to remove the interface. Right now it's using the SKG interface, and you want to make sure you copy it first, because when you remove it, nope, it gets rid of everything. Once you remove it, you want to go back up to class settings. You're going to add your animation layer interface. Once it's added, you're going to go back to it and you're going to paste everything back in. The output pose will go to the bottom. The input pose goes to the top. All right, then compile and save. Now when we go back to the third person animation, select the linked animation layer, and you're going to want to put in your animation layer that you created. All right, now you can see that it's pulling in the idle pose. And right now everything looks like it's working. Turn off a hand, and the left hand's now no longer using the IK handgun pose. Now it is. So now that you see that it's working, you want to go back to the animation layer and you want to clear this. The reason we're clearing it is because we're going to add it through the character blueprint. All right, so go back to the character blueprint, go to the shooter pawn component, and you'll see the linked animation layer class. You want to select the animation layer you created, compile. All right, now that we compiled it, you can see it's still T-posing. So the reason it's still T-posing, if you go to the animation layer, or the animation blueprint, and you click on the SKG procedurals, they're not connected. So go ahead and connect it. Let's go back to the character. There we go. Now we're working. All right, so let's go to open up the game. Okay, so we're kind of working. Notice the correct pose. Weapons are lined up, or the hands are somewhat lined up. But if you look up, for example, the arms are not following. And we will fix the arms here in a moment. But before we get to that, go back to the animation blueprint, and let's go to the character idle. I'm going to pause it, go to the very first frame, and now we need to fix the hand IK for the weapon. We're going to add an asset, modular weapon. So if you look, weapons backwards, face the wrong way, all the fun stuff. So let's go ahead and fix the weapon first. 180. Now I'm not gonna get this perfect, just because everyone's gonna have different animations. You're gonna be using something different. But for right now, we're gonna get at least workable for the tutorial. Get it about level. All right, that looks good enough for government work. Oh, wait, go over here more. There we go. All right, so now we got the weapon somewhat set up. Once it's set up, you want to hit the keyframe and then save. Compile and save. All right, let's see how we look now. All right, so the next thing we need to do, we need to fix the weapon. So right now the weapon is still spawning into the hands. We need to change it to spawn to the IK handgun. All right, so to do that, you need to go to the pickups, skeletal mesh, firearms. Nope. Hold on. We need to go to the data assets for the weapons. Find the rifle, go down to equip socket. Let's change that to IK handgun. All right, so now let's see if that. There we go. It's better. We're not quite there yet. All right, so the next thing we're going to do, we're going to go to, and that looks funky. We're going to go to the event graph. Need to go to, there it is. Well, we're going to do a couple things first, but right now we're going to go to the animation and hotbar. There's a couple things we need to set up. So first, we're going to go to the server function, and we need to add a couple things here. First thing we need to add is the shooter pawn component. From the shooter pawn component, we need to set held actor. And you want this, you can put it wherever you want to. I always put it towards the end. So the target is the SKG Shooter Pawn component, and the actor will be this weapon reference. We can drag it off from right here. The set held actor is how the SKG components know when to activate, basically. So we need to set the actor whenever you equip an item or a weapon, and we need to clear the actor whenever you unequip it. Pull out the shooter pawn component again, and then clear held actor. And that is it for this part. Then we're going to go back, and we need to go to the request change slot macro. All right, so this one, there's a little bit more to do than this one. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make some space. I'm going to separate it from the branch and then the is valid. So kind of the same thing that we just did on the server, we need to do on this one. So drag out the shooter pawn. First, we're gonna clear the held actor, and then we're gonna set the held actor. Just from experience, I've realized that it works a little smoother if you clear it before you set it. Again, the actor will be this weapon reference. And we are going to duplicate the cleared held actor and set it to the false of this branch. So if the weapon doesn't exist, it clears it. If it does exist, it'll clear it and then it'll set it. That should be it for this one. All right. The next thing we need to do is we need to set up the okay. So the next thing we need to do is set up the weapon with the SKG components. So pickups, skeletal mesh, firearms, rifle, and this will be the same for the pistol, for the shotgun. All right, so you're gonna go to the rifle. You're gonna add SKG firearm. You're gonna add SKG procedural animation, and you're gonna add SKG attachment manager. This is the three main things that all the weapons have to have. From there, you can add other things. If you're gonna add an optic, if it's a two-handed weapon, you can add the offhand IK, which we'll do here in a moment. You can add a muzzle, laser light, whatever the weapon has. If there's other attachments that aren't listed, it'll just be SKG attachment. All right, so go to the SKG firearm. We'll go to initialize, and kind of the same way we set up the character, we need to do it here. The firearm mesh component name. So you find the mesh component name is skeletal mesh component 0. All right, and if you mouse over, they'll tell you what, they'll give you an idea of what needs to be there. The attachment manager component name says right there that this is mandatory. The attachment manager is literally the name right here. If you change it, you can make sure you name it appropriately. So this has to match whatever you name this. Right now, we're not going to do anything with tags or the stat data assets. We won't be using those because we'll be using jigsaws. However, that does remind me. You need to go to your project settings, and you need to add SKG's gameplay tags. There's 5 of them, I believe. Attachment data. Okay, Jigsaw finally added the tags to this. That's good. That was a pain in the ass. Animation tags. There we go. Once you get the tags added, you can close that out and go back to the weapon. All right, so next thing we're going to do is set up the procedural aim. Go to initialize. The procedural mesh name, again, same thing right here. We're just going to copy and paste. This is the weapons mesh name. So we need to add a aim socket to the weapon. I like to use the S_aim. So let's go ahead and add that real quick. I'm not gonna go too crazy lining this up, but let me just put it in a place that at least looks like it needs to be. All right, let's go back to the weapon. So we added that. We're not gonna add. All right, so the next thing you need to do is the forward axis. So this gets complicated if you start adding weapons from different packs, or for example, Jigsaw weapons are X forward, where SKG's weapons are Y forward. So the best thing to do is make sure all the weapons face the same, have the same forward axis, whatever. Again, Jigsaw's is X, so change this to X, and that should be can aim. That should be it for right now. All right, so let's see what happens. Oh, okay. So I just remembered. So the reason that the arms are not moving up and down is because if you go to third person, it works fine. First person, however, it doesn't. The reason is because in Jigsaw, let's see if I right where it's at real quick. If you go to begin play, right here, number 1. Okay, so right here it's hiding the head bone. When it hides the head bone, then you lose the IK, the parent socket, the and all that stuff. So what I do is just remove that. Now it should work correctly. Let's see. There you go. Now you can see the weapon is moving along with the arms. However, it does have a strange curve to it. But we'll figure that out here in a moment. All right, so the first thing we need to do is, now that we have that, me personally, I don't use any ADS from Jigsaw. If you want to, you can. However, it'll kind of interfere with the SKG's procedurals. All right, so need to go to ADS, and what I'm going to do, I am going to remove Jigsaw's ADS. So to add SKG, just pull out the SKG shooter component, drag off from here, and do start aiming. And then on release, you want to stop aiming. All right, now let's see. We have the gun up. All right, so right now, as you can see, it's going off to the right or off to the left. So that means it's working. The problem is when I made the aim socket, I have to rotate it to the right. However, you'll notice the gun is obviously not facing forward. So the easy fix, go to the character blueprint. The dude looks like he's giving himself a hug. Go to your character mesh, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna rotate this. I want to say it was 43. Ooh, nope, negative 43. Well, to play with it for a second, just nope, that is definitely not correct. But hey, look, the weapon's aiming right. All right, so go that way. So try 98. Okay, so I need to rotate left a bit more. Okay. Almost. Probably a couple more degrees. Try 115. And looks almost right. Well, either way, looks good now. Let's just stick with that. So 118. And again, you guys can adjust it how you want to. All right, so to fix the aiming, however, the gun is turning to the left, so we need to rotate that to the right. 90. All right, pull the gun out and aim. All right, so again, I didn't adjust the aim socket perfectly. So that's why, if you can tell, it's off a bit. But everything's looks like it's working correctly. All right, let's see. Kind of line this up a hair better. All right, guns out. And it's still off a hair. All right, so the next thing we need to do is we need to adjust the distance that the procedural aiming is aiming. All right, so if you go to the weapon, go to SKG procedural animation. You can change the aiming distance by either dragging the socket or selecting the use fixed aim distance and adjusting the aim. So let's go with 30. It's gonna be a big. It is quite far. He's definitely stretching his arms out, but not too bad. Let's go a hair shorter. Let's do 20. That looks a lot better. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna fix his left hand. All right, so to do that, you need to add another component to the weapon. SKG offhand IK. Open it up. Again, you want to set it to the skeletal mesh. We're gonna name it S the socket S underscore offhand. There we go. Open up the weapon. Add another socket. Make sure the name matches. S underscore offhand. All right, so on this one, you're just going to drag it. Takes a bit of playing to get it exactly right, but drag it about where you want it. And then what you want to do is you want to you want to add a left hand IK pose. I'm going to use the same one I'm using right now. So the idle. Animation character idle. So now when we open it, pull the gun out, you can see his hand kind of lines up now. And again, you can adjust it while you have it out. You can slide it forward, back, down here. All right, but pretty much looks good enough. So we have aiming, we have the left-hand IK. Next thing we need to do, we need to add a sight. So right now, let's see, he is using the iron sight. So let's add the, I think it's a triangle. The triangle sight. So go ahead and find that real quick. Pickups. Go, nope, wrong one. All right, so whenever you're dealing with attachments, you want to make sure that you add all the code to the local attachment. So let's find the triangle. I'm going to rename this real quick because everything is labeled local except for this. So, and in a second you'll see why. There we go. So let's open it. And if you need an example on how to do it, just go to SKGs, go to attachments, and whatever you're doing. If you're doing a handguard, if you're doing a barrel, but let's go to the sight and let's go to the hollow sight. So if you look on here, he basically has two SKG components you want to add. We're only going to add the procedural aim optic. If you add the optic, it's more meant for like a magnifier, for adjusting reticle, stuff like that. The triangle sight already has a reticle put in there. I'm not gonna go through and mess with it. So we're just gonna add the SKG procedural aim optic. So go back to the local SKG. Procedural aim. All right, so the same thing as setting up the weapon. This one, it's the name is just static mesh, so we don't need to change anything. However, we do need to set the procedural aim socket name. So let's go to the skeleton, or well, the static mesh, and we're just gonna duplicate this. Change the name, S_aim, and we're probably gonna have to rotate it. But for now, we're just gonna leave it the way it is. All right, so let's see what happens. So right now, weapon comes up, rifle aims. Everything works. Grab the sight. All right, so let's pull off the sight. And let's see. Gun still aims. And the gun still aims. All right, so right now, it is not working correctly. And I'll go through here in a second and show you why. The reason I can show you that it's not working, so let's go back to the triangle sight. Now let's just move this off of it. So now when I aim, if it's working, I should be looking down like the right-hand side of it. So right now it is still using the rifle's procedural aim. So we can test that by going back to the rifle, going to the aim component, and let's drag it over here. Let's do a little of this. So let's see, pull it up, and I aim. All right, so that is the rifle's aim component. So if you remember the triangle site, the aim is normal. So the reason it's doing that is because go to the jig pickup component. If we go to process attachments, it's not process. So it's processing the attachment through Jigsaw. However, SKG is not recognizing the component. All right, so to get it to start recognizing the SKG, we got to add some. We got to add a little bit of stuff here. So first, we need to get the owner. From the owner, we need to get. So the owner is the weapon. So from the owner, we need to get the attachment manager. Attachment manager component. From here, we need to get compatible attachment component from actor. And from there, we need to try. We need to turn off the context sensitive and try setup attachment existing. Try setup existing attachment, no attach. All right, so basically, it's getting. So you know how we set up the attachment manager earlier. The attachment manager. So it's basically it's calling the weapon, it's getting this manager, and then it's finding out what's compatible to attach to it. The actor will be the attachment reference. So right now, it's basically just trying to see if this attachment is compatible with the weapon. The attachment to set up, again, will be the attachment reference. So if we try to do this right now, nothing's going to happen. So it still doesn't recognize it. The reason it doesn't recognize it is because the attachment manager, it's because the attachment's not considered an attachment. So to add the attachment, we need to go to SKG attachment. Attachment, we'll call this site. And then when you go to initialize, skeletal mesh component 0. Component. I don't believe we need to make. I don't think we get to attach it to a socket because it's not actually attaching anything. But we'll try it here. We'll see what happens here in a second. Required to function? No. No. We don't want a random default attachment. None. All right. So the compatible attachments is something we need to set up. So real quick, I am just going to set it up to the SKG data asset for sites. However, like this, it's not going to work. We need to add the triangle sight to this data asset. So open it up. You'll see he has a hollow sight, a thermal sight. But now let's add, we're going to add two different things here. We're going to add a triangle, the local. So the reason I wanted to make sure I changed the name to local is right here. So we need to add the local triangle sight. But we're also going to add, I think it's rifle sight, the local rifle sight. That's the iron sight. Right now, the iron sight ain't going to do anything, but I'm still going to add it right now anyways. So now, when we go to attach it, it should recognize the attachment now. Okay. So let's pick it up. All right, it's still canted. Let's pull that off. What's going on? All right. So now you can see that it's doing something. It is. I have no clue. Okay, so it is the, what is that called? The socket needs to be turned. Basically, that's what we're running into right now. But it is activating. It was going to the right, so we need to rotate this left. Make sure I'm on the right one. All right. And we are super far back, so let's drag that up. All right, now let's see what happens. Again, that's working. All right, so we're getting there. Now we're way too close. But it is aiming. It's stop aiming. So things are working. All right, so you'll be getting a few errors. Basically, the errors are because of the other weapons that are in the scene. There's no owners assigned to them. So don't worry too much about those errors right now. What was I doing? Oh yeah, the sight. All right, so we got too close. So let's go back one. But you'll just fine tune it till you get to what you want. Better. We're still off. Why is it so far to the right? I think. Oh, wrong one. That's the hollow sight. Triangle sight. X. So could be because that's it. So I didn't have the forward axis correct for the sight. Now we are way too close. Probably could be a couple things. It could be the location of the socket. If not, it is just this right here. You can use the fixed aiming distance to set it up. But let's see where we're at now. Okay, so we got that. Let's better, but let's try one more thing. Let's do this. Let's put it to 20. Too far. Wow. Way too far. All right. Well, 10 it is. Dude's trying to throw his back out to fucking aiming this thing. Still too far. Let's try that. And either way, this will be the last one. This is starting to become a long tutorial. Yeah. All right, but either way, it's aiming. I release, it stops aiming. Now, here is one problem you're going to run into. You take the sight off, and the gun just decides it wants to go floating away. So the reason is because you're removing the sight, but you're not removing the procedural aim component from SKG. Great way to get people around the corner, you know. But so to fix that, it's not super hard. However, I haven't really taken the time to figure it out. All right, but to give you just the basic, here's what I do. So I make a is valid. Oh, actually, get owner. No, not that one. Get actor component. So the same thing we did to get it. Get attachment manager component. Get attachment component. All right. So once you get the get, make sure you you right click on it and split the struct pin. From here, let's make sure that's valid, and then we will do remove attachment. If it's valid, we'll remove the attachment to the site. All right, so that should fix what issue we were having. Again, this is just a placeholder. I haven't really sat down and looked at how to remove everything, how to remove it properly yet. If you look, got the gun working. Pick up this. Swap the sights. Still working. Pull off that. Now it goes back to the weapon sight. So the iron sight, however, does not have it's not set up yet, because what you would do to set up the iron sight, it would be the same thing you did to set up this. You would add a procedural aim component, which here we'll do that really quick just because it's pretty simple. Oh shit. Local attachments. Go. SKG procedural aim. It's a static mesh. We need to add the saim. And I want to say this is definitely going to be an X forward. Pretty sure all of them are X forward. Okay. So once you get the hang of it, it goes very quickly. Same thing we did here. We'll just duplicate that, change the name to s_aim, and I think we had to turn it to the right. Again, this is just something you have to play with to figure out exactly how you want it to go. All right, so maybe I turned it the wrong way. So let's pull this side off. Let's see what happens. Okay, back to the weapon sight. We put it back on. Yeah, so we just got to go 180. Okay, so let's change that very quickly. There we go. And the reason it's very close is just because of this. Drag that back a hair. Or not. Too far. Oh, okay, so it's going. Still too far. Better. Still not there, though. $15. Man. Ooh. All right, well, good enough for right now. But you can see you got the iron sight on. It's aiming through the iron sight. You remove the iron sight. It's going to be canted. You put the iron sight back on. It's back to normal. All right, well, I'm pretty sure I covered all the basics. The next tutorial, I will probably try to show how to take SKG or how to take Advanced Jigsaw Inventory and add it to SKG. That, however, is a bit more tricky. Mainly just because it's not that it's tricky. There's just a lot more setup you need to do. But we got the animation working. Oh, I take that back. So there's one more thing. So right now we are set on standalone. So if we go to playing as client, for example. Nope, I didn't put the 2 players. Well, either way. If we go to play as client, you'll see that even with the sight on there, it's still using the rifle. And it crashes. All right, so there's a couple reasons for that. If you go to the output log, you'll see that we failed a, not right there, right here. We failed a RPC, mainly because the way Jigsaw is set up, if it's a dedicated server, it doesn't do anything. It just stops. The way that I got it to work, again, I mean, this is just, I'm sure this isn't the best way, but this is how I got it. So get owner as authority. And if it has authority, go through everything. All right, so that right there will stop it from crashing. However, when you play it now, you're going to be missing things. The handguard's missing, the rear sight's missing. I put a sight on there. So if you look at the weapon, the sight's there, the handguard's there. But let's put another one on there. So it's there, but it's missing. To fix that, what you need to do is go to the items. So, for example, the local triangle sight. And what you need to do is you need to make sure that it's replicated. Replicates. Go ahead and select that. Now, if we do it now, the handguard, everything's still going to be gone. But if we pick up sight and put the sight on there, the sight's there, the procedurals are working. We can remove the sight, and it goes back to the weapon. So all of the attachments will need to be replicated, though. So, for example, now the iron sight. If we play now, the iron sight will be there. It'll be working correctly. If I swap to the triangle sight, it'll be there. The handguard's still missing, so let's go ahead and replicate that real quick. This was probably one of the, took me the longest to figure out why it wasn't working. I think we're using, I don't know which one we're using, so let's just do them both real quick. So the weapon works because the weapon's replicated. There. Now, the gun should be complete again. I'm pretty sure it's missing the hand grip, but, or the pistol grip. But with the weapon, with the iron sight, it's aiming. Take off the iron sight, canted. Put the triangle sight on, it's aiming. So everything's working. And one last test. Let's go to 2 players, client. Let's see what happens. All right, so pull the weapon out, aiming, take off the iron sight's gone, it's canted, everything's replicating correctly. Put the triangle sight on, it's on, aiming correctly again, but way the fuck out there. Um, as far as things such as leaning, let me just close down some of this other shit. So as far as things such as leaning, um, I'm not going to go through how to do it all. I will show you how to get it working. Basically, just open up the example. That is the weapon. Page controls. So you basically just want to go through here and copy any of the functions that you want. So if you want, for example, lean left and lean right, you will just copy their example. So pull out the shooter pawn component, add lean left, add lean right, and that'll work for you. However, just be mindful when you add things like that. Just check to make sure that Jigsaw isn't doing something. So, like, if I try to lean left and Jigsaw is trying to do it too, it'll cause an error. But yeah, beyond that, that's pretty much how to integrate it. The next one that I do, I'm going to try to show you how to integrate Jigsaw into SKG. But that will definitely be a longer, multi-part tutorial though. But yeah, if you have any questions or there's anything that you want me to do a quick tutorial on, for this one, like if you want to see how to add the muzzle component or how to add a suppressor, just leave a comment and I'll see if I can throw out a quick tutorial on it. But the easiest way to do it is just look at SKG's example and add that code to the local attachment for whatever you're trying to do. But yeah, I hope this was helpful, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.